Hello, we're back. Another live, another show, another opening. No, wait, different show. Hi, I'm Liz. I'm the social media manager at NYMT, and we're doing a Lightning Boy Creatives live/Q&A tonight. Send us your questions. Say hi. Let us know if you saw the show in Birmingham. And I'm just waiting for everyone else to jump on. I see Kate is here. I see Amy's here and Liv is here. Let me invite them all. There's one, there's two. Hello.
Hello, team.
Hello, this is exciting.
Isn't it? Kate, is this your first live? Is this
This
true?
is my first live.
Oh
We
my
tried
god.
to do a
Oh
live
yes, we
last
did.
year and we
Yes.
couldn't get it to work.
And here we are. Look at us. How are you all?
Good.
Good.
I'm repping in my hoodie today.
I know I didn't think about it. I should have got mine. Oh
Team
well.
colours.
Oh dear. Team Blue.
Team Blue. Yeah. Shall we just do a quick intro round of who you are for everyone who hasn't followed us on social, though I don't know why they wouldn't, but just a quick round of who you are, what your role was on Lightning Boy. What is?
Sure.
Liz, do you want to
Yeah,
start?
I'll start. Hello, everyone. I'm Liv Warden. I am one of the writers of Lightning Boy. I was the book writer along with my partner in crime, Charlie Turner, who was the composer. So I am one half of the writing team. Oh, she's gone. Over to Kate.
Amy's disappeared, so over to me. I am Kate Gollidge. I was the director of Lightning Boy. I'm also the head of new work at NYMT. And I guess it might be relevant and interesting to know that I also worked on this production as dramaturg, which is one of the hidden roles in theatre that we might talk about a bit later. Over to you, Aimee Lee.
Hello, my name is Aimee Lee and I was the choreographer on Lightning Boy.
Yay! Well, very happy to have you all on. Shall we just do a very, very easy start? And if you had to sum up Lightning Boy 2025 and your experience in one word, what would it be?
Hmm. Um, I mean, I'm tempted to.
Extraordinary. I'm going
Yeah,
to extraordinary.
I guess I'm going to go with electric.
Memorable.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
hard. Only one word is hard.
Electric is an interesting word because it's also the name of it's the title of a song that got cut from the show.
Yeah, very
So
controversially. It was a song that everyone liked apart from me and Charlie. We thought that it was just really boring. But literally everyone was like, "How could you cut electric? How could you?" So we'll have to put that on the B side. You know,
absolutely, yeah. While
feel like
we're on things getting cut, do you want to talk a little bit about the journey of Lightning Boy, maybe with NYMT? Because it obviously wasn't the production this year. There was a whole lot before that.
a whole lot.
yeah, I'll go first on this. So at NYMT we have a panel of young readers. And they are a group of young company members who I work with throughout the year. They read everything that is submitted to us by writers. So writers of musicals send things in to us to look at all the time. And we recruited this amazing team of young readers who are like a student literary department. And we every year we do a big call out and invite people to send things in to us. So that's how I first got to know Liv and Charlie, was because they submitted Lightning Boy to us. And at that point, it was really a synopsis and a really good idea and a couple of songs. And it was spied immediately by members of the readers panel who said, "We love this, we think it's brilliant." So we chose it as one of two pieces to workshop last summer in 2024. And we did a week-long workshop with members of the company, and then after that workshop we decided to go ahead and program it into the season this year. And then, but even between last year's workshop and rehearsal starting, there was loads of development, loads of things that happened. We did an online reading. We kept in touch with a lot of the young company members that had taken part in the workshop. So I'm really proud of Lightning Boy for what it was, and also because it's the first new musical that has been developed in-house by the company since this were in post. So I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, it was a really cool journey. So at the beginning, I think it was December 2023, we had spied the submission call out for new work for the 2024 season, and we didn't really have anything. We had two songs, Too Far to Fall, which was IO solo, which the lovely Lizzie Wells sang beautifully. And then we also had one called Get This, which was a really jazzy, funky Hermes ensemble, which didn't make the show. And then we had a synopsis that does not exist anymore. It was I think the original idea was like Battle of the Bands, who can win the record contract. Like it was not good. But it was enough to kind of but what it was about was teenagers, was ambition, was power. And actually what it turned into was something way bigger than that. And it was about corruption and, you know, all this kind of like undercurrent, but also joy and revolution, all those things. But those themes came throughout the writing process. And that was really from, I think we found out we got the workshop in early 2024. I think it was February. And then we had until August to write as much as we possibly could. I think we had most of an act one by the workshop, which was really handy. And I would recommend to other writers who are going through or hoping to go through this process, have a good chunk of stuff to come with, but don't have all of it, because it will change, and that's a good thing. Like that's what a workshop is for. Write as much as you possibly can. And we had this amazing brain trust in the workshop of, you know, some of the older ones who, actually everyone had ideas about what could happen in Act 2. But we were shocked at how quickly these workshoppers felt such an attachment to the piece, and they were like, this has to happen. And like, you know, you'd be on your way to getting a cup of tea and they'd grab you and be like, please, you have to make this happen to this character. And it was such a joy to write Act 2. It literally fell out of us in, I think, 2 months. And Act 2 really didn't change. Act 1 did, but that's because we had the workshop. So yeah, as a writer who has gone through in the most complete sense this MYMT new work journey, if anyone else is doing it, squeeze every single moment out of it, because you end up with we ended up with a really special show. And I think that was massively down to the nurturing of MYMT. So cheers.
And what was the first like spark of inspiration for Lightning Boy before you even submitted? Like where, when, where, what?
Just to say hello to everyone who's coming in, because I can see all the little cast members. We miss you so much. So the first inkling was actually like in 2014, if you can cast your mind back that far. Some of our cast members weren't even born, but we had an idea for a Greek god musical that we put on at my old primary school. It was called Little Io. It was very sweet, and it was about Greek gods. But so that's all we had. When it came to 2023, you know, almost a decade later, we had this idea of, would it be cool to write about Greek gods? It's been done before, as we know. There's a lot of Greek god shows, but we thought, well, why don't we talk about the teenage versions of these characters and make them into hormonal, flawed, you know, terrors in some way. And yeah, we decided to kind of go that route. And I think that really spoke to the panel and the young readers panel as well, especially because there was young versions of these gods. There's young Zeus, young Io, young Hades, young Poseidon. And so, yeah, I think that was the original idea. But again, as I said, it grew into a much bigger beast and much better, in our opinion.
Yeah, I would say developing a new musical is like doing a Rubik's Cube. Every time you move something, you have to sort of move everything else. And that feels like the process. Oh, have you done it? Have you completed it?
Not me. I cannot take credit for that, but it's there.
He's a genius. Yeah, so there you go. There's a representation of what it is like to make a new show. Every there's so many moving parts, and everything is developing and changing, and you're responding in real time. And when Liv talks about the show being nurtured, it really was nurtured by the heart and mind of every single young person that offered ideas. And you know, in the workshop, we did an amazing session where we were trying to unlock the sound and feel of the lost souls who live in this underground dive bar. And so we got the blues on, and everybody sung the blues, and then from that it developed into these characters who eventually became our lost souls. But it was the company was so embedded in that that after Charlie heard that, she went and wrote the song in about 40 minutes. I think it was a personal record for her. She was like, yeah, I know exactly what that is now.
Yeah, it was fun.
Wow. Maybe a question for you, Aimee. How do you start choreographing a show that's obviously totally fresh, has never been done before, never been staged before? Maybe you can talk us a little bit through your process and
Yeah. So I actually had many phone calls and WhatsApp voice notes with Kate about what I saw for the piece and also what she saw for the piece. But for me, Lightning Boy was one of the easier things to choreograph ever for me. The second that I heard the music, I could see what I wanted because it was so clear what it was musically. But Kate and I found quite the shorthand in the room, didn't we, Kate, when creating like new choreography for the piece. So we actually had a lot of play. So we played a lot of games to make up new material. For example, People of Olympus. We played random games like I've got my own words for them, Kate. What would you call our games? I call it the panini press, but no one will know what that is.
What else was there? There was
Like,
New York City. We got the cast to name them, so we were working with the cast to invent things, and then we were saying, well, what should we call that? So that then when later we said, oh, can we? It's like making the Lego blocks, you know, when we said, can we do New York City, and they would all know what that meant.
yeah. But like stylistically, we knew that Come On In lived in a very much like a homage to the High School Musical era that I grew up on, the very musical theatre, jazz-based dance. We knew that Lost Souls had a very different language of its own that was more stylized movement. We knew that People of Olympus had to be more punchy and was a lot more based on formations, more military, so to speak. But Kate was wonderful in the room with us and said, "Let's play, let's devise from games," and that was a really great tool for me in the room, and also for us to devise fresh material that felt relevant to the company, to what they wanted to create as actors. Also, having Liv and Charlie and Lee there as well to like respond in real time meant that we could all then be on the same page, present at the same time to make the work as fresh and as honest as we could. So it's different for every song, but yeah, we had a lot of fun, and every idea was battered around the space several times by other people, and that's what I think made it so special, because it's not just my choreography up there. It's, of course it is, like, it's our ideas, but it's a DNA of so many people in this show, rather than me just coming in and just having steps to give people. It's a real collaboration. So yeah, every number's different, but that's a general overview of how we made a lot of the content for the show.
I've just been scrolling back through Aimee and my WhatsApp chat. I don't know whether it's interesting to anyone that saw the show, but like some of the real early nuggets of starting points. So 27th of March, Aimee said to me, for the press conference, I'm making sure I'm on the same page. For the press conference, we have our reporters. Then for New Dawn, we have our ladies in waiting. And by the end, we have a mixture of reporters and dancers all mixed together, but they're all Team Rhea. So that was like the first thing of like, what are the blocks that we've got here and what's the story we're telling? And then we talked about, I don't know if you remember this, Aimee, but that moment when Queen Rhea gets lifted up.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like working through the song together and it's such a long sequence of two songs that are back to back, working out how we can keep raising the tension all the time. And Aimee has written here on the 6th of April, I think in this moment, it's Rhea's spotlight and she's not even asked them to lift her up. They just do it. It's an extension of her physicality. And then I wrote back, I love it. It's like she just takes off from the ground.
Oh.
And that was the moment that ended up in the show. So lots of it was just like it was like everything in theatre, it's just yes anding everything. Yes and yes and yes and yes and this was a very, very yes and team, I think.
Love it. And was there a moment during rehearsals or maybe in tech or as late as the first performance where you were very surprised by a small moment, the end result, just something within the cast, just anything that surprised you about?
I think every rehearsal, every run through, they just kept finding more exciting offers. I think it just got better as we went along. From opening night to closing night was different. They just kept exploring and finding, new things to offer in the room. So that was constantly amazing to watch as an audience member, but also as a creative.
Yeah, I think one of the sections of the show that I found really satisfying to watch grow was the group of Olympians, who are this group of very close friends that are growing up together. And I remember on the first day of Easter rehearsals saying, how close they were. And I think the cast were it's a bit intimidating having to just create that chemistry day one. And then by the end of, by the first performance, you could see all these little, intricate moments that they've just built between themselves. And like there was a lot of ad-libbing and that we added into the script because that's what you can do with new work. And I think all of them, some of them, Ollie Ferry, who played Apollo, was a notorious ad-libber, and I think that he brought the house down because he had really figured out who Apollo was. And so seeing that group of friends grow was lovely.
Any moment for you, Kate, that sort of stood out?
I mean, I'm constantly surprised and inspired by the young people that are in NYMT. I think so I always say that there's really no difference between working with young performers and working with established performers. They can do everything that established performers can do. The only thing that is different is sometimes that for us as creatives, we know and believe that they are ready before they do. And so that I think for me, it was just, I had total faith and trust that it was going to be an amazing first show. But seeing that kind of spark go into everyone's eyes and realizing that this piece that we all love and have spent a year and a half developing is also being loved by the audience. Like there was a real magic in that moment, but it wasn't because of anything that anyone did differently. It was just that they needed to experience it to believe it, I guess.
Yeah, and all of them had such a sense of responsibility to the piece. Also, I said to a couple of them, you just need to relax. Like you're here for a reason. You're not going to let us down. I think that was a real concern for them, and actually to see them on, say, opening night was such a joy because it was like, see, we knew that you could do this. You just had to figure it out, and that's the magic of NYMT and working with young performers. Yeah, it was just a gorgeous experience.
And is there something in, I don't know, a particular number or maybe just a movement or something that's sort of maybe not quite obvious to the audience, but you made sure that it's in there? I don't know, maybe it's a prop or like a detail or anything like that that you want to share?
My favourite moment of choreography is this one. Do it, Aimee.
Which one?
Forget your sons in line.
Oh,
it's so simple, but it's so great. Because also that we were playing with time period constantly, right? So this is a modern move, but the Queen is a formal character, and we're in ancient Greece, but we're also not in ancient Greece. We're in a kind of anti-era ancient Greece, and so there was something about that being a modern move smashed on top of like loads of those other layers that just worked so brilliantly for me. And also it was a wonderful moment where all of the male reporters had been on stage, and then in came all the women, and #feminist, here we all are on our Instagram live. It was really great. I used to really look forward to that every day and say to Aimee, that's my favorite bit. And I think probably offended her because it was not exactly the hardest piece of choreography, but it was a perfect piece of storytelling.
No, I appreciate your attention to detail is beautiful, and I agree. It was a really nice moment of storytelling and stillness in a way amongst all of the chaos, and yeah, quite a stylized choice for us to go down. But the music just screamed for that move. The sass and the ownership from Ria's ladies in waiting just needed that movement. But yeah, there's so many little nuggets, and there's so many little like homages to shows that I grew up on in there. Come On In especially is like my homage to High School Musical. Yeah, just there's so much like glitters, Ready or Not. Ready or Not, we forgot about that. That was like such a banger for so many reasons, musically, like narratively, and so choreographically. Yeah.
I think for me, what I really enjoyed working on, and like the intricate moments and details, is in Act Two, when it becomes slightly more political, and you know the baddies have taken over. There's a lot of political undercurrent of like what's happening literally now today, of you know Trump and all these kind of like world leaders and how they speak. And so there are two moments in the show: the press conference, which is what we've just been speaking about before New Dawn, and also People of Olympus, that have verbatim speech from some of Trump's rallies. I watched a lot of YouTube videos, which, as I joke, my algorithm had to recover after watching a lot of that. But there are some real, like, realistic moments in there that we spoke a lot about with our cast. And I think Quentin's performance of People of Olympus will always stick with me, because it's and I've spoken about this, it's the emotional peak of where he's talking about Zeus, and he's rallying, and where is he, you know, he's rallying this riot group, and his moment of where he's like, where is he now? Like, it sends shivers down my spine every time, because he really earns that moment. And yeah, it's quite scary how he was such a believable dictator. But that's acting, that's theatre. But yeah, that was a really special moment for me. To see that payoff was great.
I think so, Liv, to like jump on the back of that, for People of Olympus, we watched a lot of like Donald Trump interviews and a lot of rallies looking at the protesters. And then we played the game around like marching in formation. We watched some military videos of how they march in formation, made the company do that in the space from a very like playful point of view. And then we said, okay, how do we make that choreography, so to speak, and live in our world of Lightning Boy? So yeah, that was a really cool moment for me. I haven't, you know, never devised off a Donald Trump video before, but it turned out great, weirdly enough.
We did quite a lot of talking about references, didn't we, throughout the development process? And obviously there are lots of references from other musicals that we were very inspired by, but also I think it's really important when you're making musicals that other musicals are not your only references. And so we also talked a lot about pop music and shapes and art forms and styles and what? TV and fiction. Liv and I talked a lot about the Tudors, because it has this kind of royal family and it's an inheritance drama. And so Liv and I both Tudor fiction fans. So we talked a lot about how that worked in Tudor times, about like which is the son that's going to inherit and why. And that was really great. It felt like we were building the base of our pyramid really, really wide, because we were bringing in ideas from all sorts of other different art forms.
Okay, let me just have a look if we had any questions come in. Well, there's one really good one for you, mostly, Liv. You already spoke about how obviously the overall theme sort of changed a little bit and was developed, but was there a specific plot line you wished made it into the final draft that didn't?
Oh, there was a bit that Charlie and I were speaking about the other day. There was a cut scene and song that was going to be down on Earth when Io is banished and Zeus follows her. He was going to declare his love like he did in the actual show, but then leave very quickly and kind of leave her a bit bereft. And we had an idea for this number. I don't know whether you remember, okay, it was called Ladies' Night. And it was like in the tavern with like all of the women in the show.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, was like leading it, being like, you don't need no man. Like, it's just, we have it somewhere. We're gonna have to like release the tape. But it was this idea of like this proper like feminist number. And then we also had an idea about having a sea shanty, which actually ended up being Prince of the Sea, which was the younger ones, but having Hades and Poseidon at Hades' stag do.
Yeah.
And then having a sea shanty. Do you remember that? So
yeah,
there was a couple of bits that I think could have been cool, but actually they turned out way better in the actual show of other ideas.
Also, honourable mention to the company of the 2024 workshop, who were desperate for one of the characters to be killed off.
Poseidon.
Desperate. you know, they were all voting. At one point it was going to be Poseidon, at one point it was going to be Io. It was really, really important to them that one of the characters got killed off, and we were almost persuaded, weren't we? And in the end it was Liv that was like, we can't do this.
No, it would have been wrong. I think they wanted the Les Mis moment of, you know, the flag dropping down, but, you know, as Charlie said, there's no time to recover before the finale and milkshakes in the diner, which she was correct.
Yeah.
So no death, but a banishment. There was plenty of drama.
There was a banishment and there was a flashback, and it's interesting how, like, if you want to change the tone for specific reasons, you can do that in other ways other than killing off your characters that you've off with. So we opted not to do that.
Yeah. The flashback was actually a fantastic tool, and it was something that we spoke a lot about in the workshop. I knew that we needed one, because we needed to see the princes when they were younger. We needed something to fight for. They can't have hated each other from day one, because then there really is no, you know, dramatic stakes. So to see them as young versions is heartbreaking. But we didn't quite know what it was going to be. Could it be when Zeus was born and they were disinherited? Could it be when their mother died? There was a lot of ideas, and I think the one that we plumped for, which ended up being Poseidon's 12th birthday, which, because we wanted a sea shanty in there. So, you know, amalgamation of ideas, I think, was great, because there is a moment of quite strange joy that is quickly followed by a horrendously dramatic and quite traumatic scene. It's this kind of juxtaposition that I think happens quite a lot in the show, a bit of a bait and switch. If, like at the beginning of the show, where you think it's a very on the streets of ancient Greece, okay, we're seeing a classic here. And Hermes whacks out his sparkly trainers, and you're like, oh, okay, that's not what this is. So, yeah, that was quite a useful moment for us, as Kate says, to change the energy and play with the audience.
Nice. Let me just see what else.
I've seen a question about the set that I would love to answer.
Yes.
Is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, someone is asking about who built the set. So we worked with a set and costume designer, Sophia Pardon, who created this world with us. And then the set was built by BOA, Birmingham Ormiston Academy, who did all of our scenery for the whole season. They were absolutely amazing. So massive thumbs up and shout out to BOA, because our set was brilliant and we loved it. It was the perfect world for this show.
Yeah. How do I phrase this? Is there a character you secretly relate to the most? And do you want to share why that is, or do you want to keep it to yourself?
Well, that's a good question.
I think it's as one of the writers, it's quite hard not to put some of yourself into these characters. And Charlie and I often, like, because obviously we're writing two Zeuses, right? Because we write very separately. I write all the dialogue, and she writes all of the music. So we often have to check in of like, is my Zeus the same as your Zeus? You know, in the way that he sounds. And I think that maybe Io, I hear a lot of her. I can identify with a lot of what she says. And also massively more so when we made her a bit more sassy, because pre-workshop she was very wet. And, you know, we're not really about that in 2025, these wet female characters. So, yeah, as the sassier she got, the more I could probably relate. There was Kate, do you remember when we read through the More Than This scene, and we were like ad-libbing of the argument between Zeus and I, that we got very heated when we were doing it. And then we saw lovely Toby and Lizzie, and it's a lot more gentle. So, yeah, you can always put yourself in the characters. I think Io for me probably is my answer.
Aimee?
Oh,
Lady.
I know who I want to be. I want to be Aries. That's just like the best through line ever, and it's so unpredictable for me to choose. But I think I'm definitely, I don't know, I see a lot of Zeus, characteristics of Zeus, especially throughout my journey with Lightning Boy. Zeus is sort of like finding himself and like finding who he is and what he like can like offer and bring. A lot of that through Lightning Boy was a thing for me. I want to be Poseidon because everyone loves him. He's a party boy. But I'm probably more like Dionysus in my like highly strung, gotta get stuff done, very like busy body. So there's a scene in All Hands on Deck where Dionysus is trying to get all the wine together. And
maybe aggressive.
yeah, That's me.
I don't know how to answer this question. It's such a good question.
I think you're a Rhea.
Do you?
I think that you have the kind of charisma, but also you know how to get people in line.
Yeah, all right. I'll be Rhea today. And tomorrow someone else.
Okay. I want to say we're almost at the end. I'm happy to continue if you're happy to continue. If not, I'll have two final questions.
Come on, let's carry on for a bit.
Who's left? Who's here?
Okay, first question. Where would you like to see the show go next?
Well. The $1 million question. Well, there's many ways that this show could manifest itself. I think it's a show for a big cast, and it's made for a big cast. So, you know, our first thought is, you know, licensing would be amazing, because I think it would fit into secondary schools really well, or drama schools. It's made for teenagers, about teenagers. So for us, that's a real natural next step. I think a lot of people would love, including myself, would love to see it have a professional run, which, you know, there's every chance of that happening. However, it's a very expensive show to do in its current form, so it would have to be really quite dramatically rewritten. And then the question is, would it lose its heart? Because, you know, you'd lose an Aries, you'd probably lose a Persephone, and Dionysus, and all these like characters are so integral to the fabric of this show. It would be quite hard to see that happen. So who knows, if there is a billionaire watching this live thinking, yeah, let's do it, then fantastic. But I think actually it would be a great licensed production, so we can get as many young people doing it as possible.
Yeah, we want young people to perform this show, don't we?
Yeah.
It's such an amazing breath of fresh air. There's a lot of great shows out there that schools and groups can perform, but this one I think is the best. So everyone should do this show. Do Lightning Boy.
It's a lot of fun.
So much fun.
And then what's the biggest thing that you'll personally take away from Lightning Boy? Coming with all the questions today.
Yeah. Aimee, surely you've been on a huge journey with this show. We all have, but
it's actually impossible to describe, and that sounds so cliche and cheesy, but this show just, it hit differently for me. It was the team, the company, the material. Yeah, it was the gift that kept on and keeps on giving for me in so many ways. It's impossible to sum it up, but some moments just are proper core memories for many reasons. And the show is very, very special to me in a lot of ways. And all of us, I think we all had a really great time, which feels cringe to sit here now and say we had an amazing time, our show was great, and it was. But until you're in that space and you see what this cast created in front of our eyes, it really was. If any creative out there who has done NYMT will know how special this company is, and working from 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. With the core team of creatives, there's no one else I'd rather be with. So yeah, I think Lee Freeman, I think you're on this call as well, Charlie Turner, it ticks a lot of boxes for me.
Oh, Rob. I think it really cannot be underestimated how much this show has absolutely changed our lives. I can speak for myself and Charlie here, and maybe more of the creatives and the cast. I just think we figured out pretty quickly that the theatre industry isn't always like this. This show was just absolutely magical, and it was like, we keep on referring to Lightning Boy as just the gift that keeps on giving. It's like pushing an open door, and I think that is because we worked with the absolutely perfect creatives from day one, who were just meant to be making this show. And it's just hard to put into words, but yeah, it was completely life-changing, and we basically learned how to write a musical by writing Lightning Boy, and it was very special. So love you all.
Yeah. My takeaway from the show is I think something that I probably already knew a bit, but has been proved again, which is that when you've got a group of people, and I'm including creative team, cast, band, stage management, everyone, everyone is in that. There were no passengers on that train at all. It was a train full of drivers, and it's a show that demands a lot vocally, physically, emotionally. And every single person in that company rose to it with such heart and passion. I'm just endlessly inspired, and I think there was a perfect fit between being part of those young people's journey at that point, and the fact that this is a show about finding your voice and owning your power and lighting up the dark, and those two things combined into something that was very unforgettable for me.
And a final question to wrap it all up: a favorite line or lyric from the show?
Oh,
Can be 2 lines if that's it.
oh, that's hard.
I can't. It's got to be an Apollo line, but I can't remember any of them. Maybe when
I think mine has to be. I don't know if he's still on the live, but Tom Slater with his "How can I be the god of wine without any bloody wine? It's embarrassing." That's my favourite. I loved it every night.
Yeah, very funny, very good. Aimee, have you got one?
I just have so many random lyrics floating around in my head now. Annoyingly, all these songs are earworms, so at any point I had a line from the show. But press conference, some of our soloists in press conference had some really catchy lines. Isla's reporter moment was always in my head, stuck there. Gorgeous vocals. I don't know, Kate, you go.
Well, I just need to look mine up because I don't want to misquote Charlie. It would be a disaster if I did. So hold on, I'm just opening up the script because it is a lyric, but it's such a clever lyric that it deserves me quoting it correctly.
I liked Almighty Gods and Goddesses on Minimum Wage from Golden Age.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
That's a good one.
Mine is, and I don't think I've ever told Charlie this. So if Charlie's watching this on playback, love this lyric. So come on, put your hand in mine. I swear those starfish will align. Because it's so clever, because it's about the stars aligning, but because he's the god of the ocean, it's the starfish, not the stars.
Oh, also just one more that made me cry, and Josh, who was our gorgeous costume supervisor, always loved in the finale where Poseidon and Craig have a little moment, and this is Amy's as well, where he says, "Go on and love." Oh my god, now got it. What is it? It's
go on and love
anyone you want. We're free to be
whoever, which I think sums up this entire show. So that was nice.
Yeah, we've got some more in the chat as well. Some suggestions. Look at this family that we've created.
Yeah, that was sweet.
Also true.
Nice.
Yeah,
I think that's a nice way to end this live as well, on this sentiment, isn't it? Thank you so much for joining and for chatting about the show. I hope we see a lot more of it in the future. And I'm just going to plug the writers course and the creatives course because
exactly, because if you want to learn to write musicals from Liv and Charlie.
Who?
What?
Can I come? I want to go.
Yeah, please.
Come and join us in October. Everything is on our website. You can sign up now and write the next Lightning Boy 2.0, your own version of it, maybe.
We have spinning wheels and lots of fun. It's really fun. Come along.
Yes, come along. And again, thank you so much for joining, and see you. We'll see.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.